And welcome to the Pigskin Picks for Delaware Live, powered by 302 Sports. This week, we usually hold Jason till the end of the year when things are getting tight, but between babysitting and jobs, we had to move Jason up to midseason. So, Jason, welcome to the picks this week. And ready to rock and roll, guys?
Yes, definitely.
Let's go week 4. Friday night, 6 o'clock, Seaford at Early College. So that'll be played at the old Wesley Stadium. Trey, what do you got there in Dover?
The Blue Jays, they need to bounce back after the loss to First State Military. They were leading 13-12 in the second half before First State pulled away in the fourth quarter. I like the growth at Early College, but I think the Blue Jays are going to get it done.
Jason.
Yeah, it's a big game for both teams. Early College got a win earlier this year, and then took a setback last week. Seaford still looking for that first win. A big, both teams 0-1 in the district, so it's an important game. I like the Blue Jays in that one.
And two first-year head coaches, Austin Perry at Seaford, Zach Horstmeyer at Early College. I watched a little bit of that Seaford first state game last week. Seaford was in that they were leading in the fourth quarter, and the first state's for real. They just put the pedal to the metal, won that game. I'm going to take the Blue Jays in this one on the road. Let's move to Saturday noon kickoff. So glad I do downstate football because I wouldn't want to have to get up at 8 in the morning to go set up for a noon football game. But we got St. George's at William Penn. The Colonials 3-0 versus the 2-2 Hawks. Trey Mitchell, who do you got in this one?
St. George's at 1-2 is dangerous. Those two losses, and they're only by a total of 8 points. They're against a tough Hodgson and Appo teams. William Penn is 3-0, and they're already having a great turnaround from last year. The Colonials are one of the several teams that will find out who they are after this weekend with wins over CR and Milford. I'm going to take the upset on paper right now with the 1-2 St. George's getting the win here.
Jason,
what do you got in that big Newcastle County battle?
Yeah, it's a big game. St. George's, you look at them, we said, bunch of 3A teams fighting for that last playoff spot. These head-to-head games are very important. St. George's at home. I think they've played in the tougher games so far than William Penn, but it's a good test for us to see where the Colonials are. I'm leaning towards St. George's at home in this one.
Colonials much improved from last year, but the Hawks are tested. I'm taking St. George's in this game as well. Friday night, number 6 ranked Sussex Tech going up to play Odessa. Odessa's first year in AA. Odessa 0-3. The Ravens 3-0. Trey Mitchell, who?
First of all, congratulations to Coach Brad Ellingsworth and the Ravens starting 3-0, and they're breaking into the rankings. Number 6. Zion Roach is a dog for Sussex Tech. If he has another big game for the Ravens, they can just get rolling. But they're walking to a blackout at Odessa. We could find out Friday night who the Ducks are. 2 of their 3 losses were to ranked Class 3A teams. I'm going to take Sussex Tech.
Jason.
Yeah, it's an interesting game because Odessa is 0-3, but they lost to Lake Forest in the opener, where Lake Forest was a little bit healthier than they are now, and then to the 2 3A schools, Appo and Middletown. They're in that district too, which I said last night. I think anybody can win that district, so they still got a chance in that. But this is, I think, to them, this is a chance for them to prove themselves. I'm going to take them at home in the blackout in a close one over the Ravens.
It's the B positive foundation game. They're wearing black in the stands. A big blackout for Odessa, 0-3. The Ducks' offense have struggled, even though they play some good teams, even against Lake Forest. The offense has really struggled, and it struggled last year too in the tough games, like against Laurel and St. Elizabeth. Tech has beaten Odessa 2 years in a row. I think it makes it 3 years in a row. Sussex Tech's going to 4-0, folks. They're going to start creeping up in these rankings. I'm taking the Ravens on the road. Let's move to Friday. This is a big one. Number 4 ranked Smyrna versus number 7 ranked Appoquinimink. Appoquinimink 2-1. Smyrna 0-3. We don't say that very often. Trey, I know you're a rider guy, but what do you got here?
Well, yeah, you're absolutely correct. We do not say that often. Smyrna's 0-3, and they still have Middletown and Dover on the schedule. At this point, they may not be favored in those games, so this makes this a must-win game for them. And it's a strong Appo team. It's the Eagles' homecoming. I think they get that first win on the board. I'm going with Smyrna.
Actually, I think I have them down as homecoming too. That might be wrong. I think it's the home opener, maybe.
It is.
Home opener. Maybe that's
Home
what it
opener.
is.
Yeah, I think I jotted down homecoming too. I think it's the home.
Yeah, I know there's a couple homecomings starting up here coming up, so I got confused there. But
There you
yeah,
go.
I'll
That's
take
all right.
Smyrna.
I had the same note. So, Jason, I don't know if you've ever walked into Smyrna's home game where that sea of red in the home
Yeah.
bleachers, but that's what Appo's walking into. Who do you got?
Yeah, to me, this is a game. I got a chance to see Smyrna last week. They have some stuff they need to work on. They are 0-3. But when you got Middletown and Dover and Sussex Central on the road still coming up, you don't like to say it's a must win, but I think it's a must win home opener. I think they pull it off, but I don't think it will be as easy as some people do. I think this could be a close game even without Appo having McConnell.
Yeah, Appo's that kind of team. They don't care who we pick. They're just going to go out there and play the game. And, I think everybody in the state picked against them last week with St. George's, knowing that McConnell wasn't going to be there. But they just the next man up mentality at Appo, and they're winning games. Smyrna's backs are against the wall. Like I said last night on the show, they're going to, for the next 7 weeks, they have pressure. Because if they're going to make another run in a state title, I don't know if they can go 5-5, but can't go 4-6. So, and I on the show last night, I said pressure does two things: makes diamonds and it bursts pipes. And we'll see how Smyrna. We're going to start seeing Smyrna in its first game back, with their backs against the wall, how they handle that pressure. Do I dare pick against Appo again this week? Yes, I do. Smyrna's going to win this one at home. Let's move to Friday night interclass game with Delmar going down to Indian River. Delmar 2-2, Indian River 3-0. Trey, who do you got?
Yeah, Indian Rivers looked pretty good with wins over St. Elizabeth and Polytech. All three teams, they could be in the state tournament. But this week they step up to a Class 2A team. Delmar's 2-2, but those losses came to ranked DMA and Friends. I'm going to take Delmar here. I think they're a tough Class 2A team. They've been tested a little bit. I'm going to go with Delmar.
Jason, you got to see Delmar against the defending state champs last week. Who do you got in this one?
Yeah, and I had a chance to see Indian River against St. E's earlier this year, and I'll tell you what, that Indian River team really impressed me. They have a lot of kids on the team, very depth, but it's hard to step up a class sometimes and play a 2A team like Delmar, who Delmar never seems to beat themselves.
Right.
I like Delmar in this one.
Bill Townsend and Indians, they're opening eyes around the state right now. Delmar, their two losses, DMA and Friends, two of the top teams in AA. Darnell Stokes, most kids don't get 2 pick sixes in a career. This kid had 2 in a game last week. Although I don't know how much Delmar's going to throw the ball. You're going to see a lot of dive, double dive. But look, Indian River's playing with house money. 3-0, ranked number 2 in single A. They got Delmar coming into their home place, but house money is not going to be enough. I think Delmar wins this one. They move to 3-2 and get ready for that. Once again, District 3 and AA is going to be fun to watch. It's going to be very competitive. So let's move back up north. Friday night, 7:00. Archmere, just 2 years away from a state title, taking on number 1 Caravel in AA. Trey, who do you got?
Yeah, Caravel handled a good Laurel team last week, holding them just a field goal. And Archmere is just 1-2 on the season, and they fell the rankings with that loss to Newark, a wild one last Saturday, where Cole Fenice, his 3 touchdowns weren't enough. The Hawks are going to have to find a way or find someone to complement Fenice against Caravel. I'm going to stick with number 1 Caravel.
Jason.
Archmere, I've seen Archmere a couple times. Right now, their defense is giving up a lot of points. And granted, two great offensive teams in St. Mark's and Newark, but Caravel might be better than those two offensively. There's just not a weak link on that Caravel offense. You can get a double dose of Miller, and when not, they throw the ball well. But their special teams are just as good. At home, I think Archmere is walking into too much. I think Archmere's experience might be able to help them to keep it close at the beginning, but I like Caravel in this one.
Probably going to hear these names a lot Friday night. Fenice, Miller, and Miller.
Mhm.
The Miller kids from Caravel really showing out so far this year. Hopefully, 3 touchdowns last week alone, and Archmere gets bit by or I guess stung by the Yellow Jackets would be the more apropos analogy. But 3-0, the Buccaneers. Caravel right now is just a step ahead of everybody in Class AA. I'm taking Caravel home to move to 4-0. Probably the biggest game around the state. All eyes are probably going to be on this one. 7 o'clock Friday night from the state capitol. Number 3, Salesianum, and number 2, Dover. Salesianum coming in with that big win over Smyrna. Trey Mitchell, this is a big one. Who do you got?
Well, someone's going to fall from the unbeatens this week. I love the matchup. 2 teams of 3-headed monsters. We got Dover with Cosby, Kilby, and Parker. We got Sally's with Stower, Ransom, and Aileen. Dover is averaging at 43 points per game. And Sally's comes in with a win over Smyrna. I like that 43 points per game at home. I'm going to go Dover.
Jason, this is a big one. You've gotten to see Sally's. You've gotten to see Dover. Going to be a lot of speed in this game.
Yeah, and one thing I think Sally's is better at this year is defense. I saw it last week against Smyrna. Smyrna in years past has burnt Sally's speed. Sally's has got some speed on the defensive side of the ball. A new coach, Paul Warlow, he had a great game plan. But how do you stop that 3-headed monster at Dover, averaging 43 points a game? That is a hard sell on the road, and Dover's coming off a bye.
Right.
Which gave Chip Knapp, another week to explore it. It pains me to say this, but I think it's going to be close. But I'm going to take the Senators at home.
Got a big coaching matchup there between the former NFLer and Paul Warlow running the defense, and the former college coach Chip Knapp running the offense for Dover. Should be a fun one. Ryan Starr, he's going to test the secondary, which should open up some running lanes for Eileen and Ransom. So, Dover's defense is going to have to be on their toes as well. We've talked a lot about Dover's offense. Their defense is going to have to be on their toes in this game. I was most impressed with Dover's 45-7 win over Appo. Appo's a good team. We've seen that now in a couple weeks. And everybody thinks Dover's like this big play. Everything's a long run. Everything's a long pass. But you go back to that Appo game, their touchdown runs were 5 yards, 3 yards, 11 yards, and 8 yards. So they're driving the ball down the field, or they're getting short field with the defense. But this game could turn on a big defensive play, something that sets up a short field, a scoop and score, a pick six. Something like this could turn. I don't say it's going to win this game, but I think defense is going to turn this game. And I'm going to take the Senators at home on a Friday night. Dover wins this one. So our downstate game of the week, Friday night, 7 o'clock, hoping to stay out of the rain. It looks like it's going to just miss us. It's Concord versus Milford. This is homecoming for the Bucks. Trey, who you got here?
Well, this could be the fastest game of the weekend. Both teams love to run the ball. I like it. I'm a fan of running the ball. Concord had a close win and a 1-point loss to Brandywine, and then a 24-0 loss to Tower Hill. Milford had a big season opening win. Then in a game they'd like to forget at William Penn. They just got back in the win column last week, although it was a little ugly against Delcastle. But they're coming back to Milford, and this one is homecoming. I'm going to take Milford at home.
Jason, you just look at the schedule of these two, or their 3 games they played, and it's both of them a little Jekyll and Hyde coming into this one. Who do you got?
Yeah, it really has, and I think Tower Hill's better than people think with that win over Newark. We saw what Newark was able to do against Archmere last week. But still, a tough job for Concord to go down there in Milford and play down there. I'm going to go with the Bucks at home. I think this game is going to be a close one. And like Trey said, it will be the quickest game of the weekend.
Yeah, I hope, because we want to miss that rain. I'm doing that game, so I don't want to be stuck packing equipment up in the rain. So, homecoming for the Bucks. They got a lot of speed in their run game. They have to clean up the turnovers. I think Delcastle took an early lead with a scoop and score last week, and held that through the half. Milford had to scratch and call to win that game. Talking to Tom Wood, head coach of Concord, about he's a little concerned about his offense just not putting a lot of points on the board. but their defense has not been getting blown out. They gave up 13 and 13 in their first 2 games. They were 1-point losses. And then, Tower Hill running the spread now. They've gone away from that single wing. Now they're running the spread. They scored 3 touchdowns on them. And I think a game like that, I think Concord may be kind of used to losing to a Tower Hill. And, once Concord gets their wheels going, they're fine. But I agree, Jason, going on the road, playing on the carpet. I think too much speed out of Milford in their run game. Looks like they're running a little bit of wing T, wishbone this year. I'm going to take the Bucks at home. So Jason's Twitter, Phil 6-2 this on his first outing. Glenn Frazier 5-3 last week, and Jason, you're on the clock. So, folks, Friday night, you got 2 games upstate, correct, Jason?
Yeah, we're gonna do Caravel, Archmere on Friday night, and then Saturday we'll be at Mount Pleasant for Newark at Mount Pleasant.
And then Glenn Frazier will have the call on Delaware Live Sports, the Salesianum Dover game, 7 o'clock kickoff in Dover. I'll have Concord and Milford. Trey, I've started breaking out the sweats. You know what that means?
What's that mean?
Getting closer to wrestling season, buddy.
There, we're getting ready. I'll be on baby duty Friday night. I'll tune in to some Delaware Live, me and little man, and maybe one day I'll get back on the camera for you.
There you go. Appreciate it. So, folks, 4 big games on Delaware Live this week. Catch them all to our YouTube channel. Also, hit the subscribe button and follow us all year long. So, for Jason Winchell and Trey Mitchell, I'm Benny Mitchell. Folks, see you at kickoff on Friday night.